Alright, so here's a video for artists that are struggling with their self-talk. And by that I mean you beat yourself up and you say, "Oh, I'm so shitty at art. I can't do this. I'm terrible. I'm the worst artist ever. My art sucks." So here's what I think where I think that's coming from is you want to be a better artist and you're not happy with the art that you're making. And you think that when you call your art garbage, that is the objective case, that your art is garbage, and that at some point you'll reach a level where your art is better and not garbage, and you'll start calling your art good. The problem is your eye gets better as you become a better artist. So when you start calling your art garbage, you never stop calling your art garbage. For example, there was a video with Craig Mullins and an interview with this amazing painter, digital painter Craig Mullins, who was talking about he still views his art as bad. So clearly, it's not an objective case. 100 people, 99 out of 100 would say this art is amazing, but he doesn't see that. So when you get a habit of calling your art terrible and bad and, oh, my art looks like shit, that doesn't change. You bring that with you because that's not something that's a quality of the art. That's a habit you've developed in your brain. Your relationship to your art is of this tyrannical monster that, or this overseer that's like, this isn't good enough. And that doesn't change as your art gets better. Your brain has been programmed to be this sucks, this is terrible. You've trained yourself to see the bad in your art and not to see it as something good, which it very well might be. Okay, so how, if we've decided this is a problem and this is something you'd like to change, I do want to address something. What I'm not saying is that you should look at your art and be like, this is wonderful. There's nothing I would change about this. This is perfect. I can't see a single thing I would improve. I'm never gonna train. I'm just gonna coast along and everything will be wonderful. That's not what I'm saying. Self-love is not permissiveness. When you love someone, when you care about someone, if you care about your mother, do you want to see your mother just sit on the couch all day and eat, hot wings and buckets of ice cream and not get exercise, not ever leave the house, not eat healthy foods? No. You want them to be healthy. You want them to go out and do challenging things that give their life a sense of meaning. You want them to have challenges, appropriate challenges that make their life interesting. You want them to thrive. You don't want them to just sit around and do nothing. And so I'm not saying with self-love. I think, and here's what I was worried about when I was very hesitant to the self-love. Like, self-love? What, you mean just give myself permission to sit around and do nothing all day? No, I gotta be mean to myself so I can get out there and do work and I'll get more done if I yell at myself. And I'm so lazy I have to yell at myself or nothing's gonna get done. But that's not how it works. It's not permissiveness. That is the true. That's another form of self-loathing. That's just a form of escapism is to just eat chocolate and watch TV. That's not self-love. That's not what I'm talking about with self-love. Self-love is I care about myself. So, and I care about my art. So extend that self-love to art because art is in some ways an extension of yourself, although you might argue that it's better if you're a professional to divorce yourself from feeling so connected with your art. But anyway, extend that self-love to your art. So instead of calling your art garbage, say, okay, this isn't as good as I would like it to be. What could I improve about it? Do I need to work on my hands? Do I need to work on my feet? Do I need to work on my 3D forms? Pick one of those and work on them. Take it in a very methodical way. You don't need this system of this tyrant and slave relationship where you're like, everything I do sucks, this is garbage, and then you just drive yourself into a sinkhole of guilt and shame where you just feel horrible. And does that make you a better artist? Does that make you want to draw more? No, because every time you draw, you're beating yourself up and saying you're not good enough. Does that sound like a relationship in which you're gonna stick around? No, that's an abusive relationship. If every time you draw you're just yelling at yourself, you're not going to keep drawing. You're going to play video games because you don't judge yourself when you play video games. You're going to watch TV because you don't judge yourself so harshly when you play TV or when you watch TV. This beating yourself up does not make you want to draw. It does not create a love for drawing. It creates a feeling of, I'm doing this to appease some tyrannical critic in my head who's just yelling at me all the time, and I have to be good enough for daddy. I have to be, this is evil daddy in your brain. I have to be good enough for daddy, and you're just drawing, and the whole time you're like, I gotta be good enough so that the tyrant doesn't yell at me, so that he doesn't get mad at me, so that he won't call my work garbage, and you're just trying to be good enough for this inner critic. That doesn't work. That's not well, okay, it might work. I'm certain that some artists have gotten really high levels of success by yelling at themselves, but I don't think it generates happiness at all. I mean, does it sound like happiness that even if you're achieving at a high level, if you're always calling your art shit and you feel like your art is shit and you still feel like you're not good enough, is that really success to you? I don't think so. That's not my definition of success. I want to feel like I'm competent. I want to feel like I'm good at what I do. Now, that doesn't mean I'm saying everything I do is perfect. It just means I can look at it objectively and say, oh yeah, this is actually a pretty good painting. I can see things I want to work on, for sure. But I'm not going to say that this is garbage. And here's the other danger. That when you start calling your work garbage, a lot of times you'll be calling yourself garbage. It's like, my work is garbage. I'm an idiot. I'm a moron. Why can't I figure this out? I'm so stupid. I'm not good at, like, art is the one thing I'm supposed to be good at, and I'm not even good at that. Ah, I hate myself. Ah, I want to kill myself. Ah, I should just give up on art forever. All that stuff. And I know because I've been there. And I work on that every day. I have a journaling practice where I write down my negative thoughts, and then I reinterpret them in a positive way. So I might have the thought, I suck. And what I mean by that is I'll reinterpret it, I'll write down another sentence, and I'll say, what I mean by that is I feel sad that I'm not as good as art as I'd like to be. Okay, that's something I could work with. And then it's like, okay, well, what specifically do I want to improve about my art? Okay, I want to work on my line quality. So I'm just going to practice lines tomorrow. I'm going to set aside 60 minutes tomorrow just to practice my lines, just flowing lines. And so you've taken that destructive thought and turned it into something constructive. So I have some books I want to recommend for today. One would be 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. One of the rules he talks about in that book is treating yourself, not comparing yourself to others. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. So don't compare yourself to Craig Mullins. Don't compare yourself to John Hardesty. Don't compare yourself to any number of the Golden Age illustrators who were just amazing. It doesn't help you. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Did I get 1% better than yesterday? Am I 20% as good as I was a few months ago or last year? Just compare yourself to yourself. There's another rule, which is treating yourself as if you're someone you were responsible for, which is talk to yourself as if you're like there's a small child in your head who's your inner artist. And you talk to them and you say, hey, sorry for treating you so badly. Sorry for yelling at you. Could you give me an hour of art today? And if you give me that hour of art, we can have a nice cup of coffee afterwards as a reward. And your inner voice goes, whoa, really? Yeah, okay, that'd be great. So have that relationship with your inner child, your inner artist that that's been damaged by all the yelling and you beating it up. And I think that comes from a sense of protection. Like you're trying to protect yourself from external criticism by criticizing yourself even more. Like, you don't want to get hurt, so you hurt yourself first because someone insulted your art when you were young, or a teacher told you your art was bad. So now you've internalized that negative feedback, and now you're gonna be meaner to yourself than anyone else could, and so you beat them to the punch. So now you're in control of how you feel. That's your way of getting control over your emotions. Is I'll make myself feel bad, so other people can't make me feel bad. I already feel bad. Okay, so that's 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. That would be a good book. The other one is one of my favorites, Anthony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. This is just a great book for revamping your mindset. It talks about how you can revamp your belief systems and making better decisions and generating pain around things you don't want to do. Like, actually feel the pain of, if I keep yelling at myself, how am I going to feel? Where is this going to go? Right, and changing your thoughts, changing your vocabulary. So instead of calling yourself garbage, maybe you could call yourself, I'm a work in progress. Or instead of calling your art garbage, you could call it you could call it full of potential, right? Full of lots of room to improve. So changing the way you, like, instead of calling yourself a moron, call yourself a student, right? So that's Awaken the Giant Within. It's a great book. Some of the stuff is a little, you know, how the motivation field goes and the self-help. They can get a little crazy, like, do this crazy thing. And some of it's a little wonky. But overall, it's one of my favorite books for just thinking about how you think and revamping what you think you can do. And it stays true to the title of Awaken the Giant Within. It really helps you feel like, oh, I can do this. So it's a great primer for anyone who's depressed or doesn't have any self-esteem and doesn't feel like they're capable of anything. It's really good for telling you not everything you think is true. You might think you're a loser. That's not true. That's just in your head. That's a belief, and you can change that belief. So I would really recommend Awaken the Giant Within to anybody. It's not that expensive either. I think it's pretty cheap. And the other one is, this is Self-Compassion by Kristin Neff. I kind of think this one's better for women. Honestly, I don't want to be sexist, but it's a lot of the self-esteem stuff, like Brene Brown and stuff. It just strikes me as more feminine and just like very soft and flowery. And it's, for me, I find Jordan Peterson and Anthony Robbins more helpful. But if you like more flowery, soft, gentle writing, then yeah, Self-Compassion is a good option. It talks about love is more effective than fear, because when you're yelling at yourself and you're berating yourself, you're operating out of fear. And when you're operating out of love, then you're going to be more prone to enjoy the process, right? How are you going to enjoy making art if you're constantly yelling at yourself? You're not. And if you're not enjoying the process, you're going to quit. So that's pretty much what I have to say. What I would encourage you to do is, anytime you catch yourself calling yourself a name, stupid, moron, idiot, weak, try to first just become aware of it. Just start paying attention to that voice and start questioning it. That journaling's a good way to do that. Meditation's a good way to do that. Just sit down and think. You don't have to do cross-legged or anything. Just don't be on your phone. Don't do anything else. Just think. Just observe your own mind. What are you calling yourself? How do you talk to yourself? That would be the first step. And then maybe you can start coming up with replacements. So instead of calling yourself a moron, call yourself a student. Instead of calling yourself an idiot, call yourself a learner. I'm a learner. I'm not an idiot. I'm a learner. So anytime I do something bad, I'm going to learn from it. And then replace art. Like, instead of calling my art garbage, I'm going to call my art, maybe I'll just say, this needs to be improved. Maybe I'll say, instead of anytime I'm tempted to name call my art, I'm gonna replace it with gratitude for, hey, thanks for showing up and thanks for making something, man. Thanks for spending an hour working on something. Because when you yell at yourself, when you say, oh, this is garbage, you're basically saying, oh, you know, this hour or 2 hours or 4 hours you spent on this piece, I don't appreciate it at all, right? It's all worthless. but instead say, I'm really grateful to myself for showing up for 4 hours and working hard on this piece. Is it as good as I would like? No. Do I need to work on some stuff? Yeah, but dude, appreciate yourself for showing up. That's not easy. It's so much easier to play video games or watch TV or eat chocolate than to pick up a pencil and do something that you aren't confident with and you aren't, totally proficient with and you're still learning and you're still struggling with. Art drawing is hard, so appreciate yourself for showing up. And that's what I want to say today is mainly just you're not going to get very far by berating yourself, and if you do, you won't be happy at the end of that line. So I think if you want long-term happiness, stop yelling at yourself, treat yourself kindly. You can have high expectations for yourself, but don't yell at yourself when you fall short of those expectations. Change your rules for being happy. Right now, your rule might be, I'm happy when I make perfect art. Well, guess what? That's never going to happen. Change your rule to be, I'm gonna be happy when I show up and I do my best. So that's what I want to say. Show up, do your best, and be kind to yourself. Enjoy the process. And with that said, I wish you all the best of luck and keep walking along that path. All right. Goodbye, everybody. I will see you next video.